Hello, I'm Rami Eltchelebi. I'm a partner at ShineWing Australia and we're sponsors of the PFA. I'm here today with Shane Quinn, Executive Chairman of Quintessential Equity for the PFA's Interview Series. I'm going to ask him a few questions about industrial and office real estate. Hi Shane.
Hey, Rami.
Hey, you've done extremely well at Quintessential in value adding to industrial and office assets. Where do you see value adds going to come from in 2021?
Well, we're looking to stick to our fundamentals of buying assets below replacement value. We think that in 2021, having a competitive advantage in terms of being able to offer the most affordable rental base to your tenant is going to become really important. But if you look at industrial property in 2021, we think that we'd rather be buying land-rich assets rather than improvement-rich assets. And by that, I mean, we think that there is potential disruption coming to industrial, and even though industrial is the darling child of the office market at the moment, of the investment market, we think that it's not immune to disruption, no different from office and retail when you look at things that are coming in the pipeline. So an A-grade asset today may not be an A-grade asset in 10 years' time. And by that, I mean, we may go high bay, fully automated warehousing, which is a much more efficient use of the land and the output in terms of what that shed can give in terms of distributing product out. So you have to be very aware that disruption's coming, autonomous cars, deliveries, all those sort of things. So I would be very focused on land-rich assets in the industrial space, and in office, I would be making sure that you have a competitive advantage and that rents aren't too high that your tenant can't pay the rent. I think over the last few years, people have charged rents in offices in some of the locations like Sydney, and you've had a massive boom there in terms of rental growth. But I don't think it's long-term sustainable for some of those tenants to be able to afford that. So I think some of the suburban markets may be beneficiaries of tenants looking to relocate at better rental outcomes. So those would be my tips. Stick to your fundamentals of buying below replacement cost and having a competitive advantage, and I don't think you can lose. I think you'll benefit.
Great, thanks Shane. You mentioned sustainability there. That was going to be my next question. It's a growing phenomenon across the world. What have you done with tenants, investors and partners really to make sure you create sustainable real estate?
Yeah, I think sustainability is going to come back in a big way, but I think there's a lot more to the trends that are going to come into office buildings post the pandemic. We've been very focused on all of our buildings, whether it be through regeneration or development, to hit the highest neighbours-based building energy rating as we can, and we've been very mindful of that, and that's been very fruitful for us in terms of being able to engage with and commit long-term high quality covenants into our buildings. Post-pandemic, I think if you look at some of the buildings we've built, like 1 Mallop Street for WorkSafe, not only was it the greenest building in Australia regionally at 5.5-star neighbours and 6-star Green Star, but we also incorporated the WELL rating into that building. Now, that's much more along the lines of a healthy building and the outputs of what makes a healthy building. And it's a worldwide phenomenon and design at the moment that people are building into all of the premium assets that are being built around the world. I think post-pandemic, healthy buildings are going to be super important, and touchless surfaces and offering the tenants that go into your buildings a truly healthy outcome for the staff that work in your buildings. So watch this space. 1 Mallop Street was the second project in the world to be Platinum Shell and Core well rated, which is the highest well rating you can get. I think that's going to lead to a lot more buildings going in that direction. Second to that, I think design of smart buildings is going to become important, with touchless surfaces and smarter buildings that you don't need to touch surfaces in the post-pandemic world. Again, lifting the level of security around health and how you offer your tenants a safe environment to work. That actually leads into all access design, which is DDA compliance, touchless surfaces and being able to go through doors without touching surfaces for people that have disabilities that can't otherwise open the doors. So there's going to be a big play in that space as well, which is going to lead to buildings having higher quality for all that use it, which is going to be the next thing that's important after health, is equality for all. I think that that's going to be a big push into the future, and office buildings are going to be the beneficiary of that over time, and because of the post-pandemic touchless surfaces, which leads to better outcomes for DDA compliance.
Great.
So watch
Okay.
this space.
Absolutely. You also mentioned there, you touched on briefly some of the work you've been doing in the regions, and Geelong is one of them. Regional hubs, I think, or certainly are growing in importance in this day and age. What role do you see industrial and office assets playing for growing regional hubs, and how might it be different from today?
Yeah, so starting with office, I think government have to lead the way for regional hubs. And if you look at Geelong, we've been very successful down there in terms of committing government, and it's really creating a central CBD within Geelong, which then the service businesses can wrap around, whether it be legal, accounting, and those other groups that service the government that go in and stabilise the need for white collar employment. So I think that there's big opportunity there. It's going to be driven purely off the back of government commitment and technology, allowing people to work remotely and communicate on Teams as we are right now. So I think the regional hubs will benefit as long as they have strong government commitment and great infrastructure in those locations. If you look at Geelong, it's got the hospitals, the schools, it's close proximity to Melbourne, it's got all of the lifestyle requirements that people want going forward. So I think those areas are going to benefit. And we're a big believer in Geelong because we think it's the second city to the Melbourne CBD. And Melbourne doesn't have other CBD nodes like Sydney has in Parramatta, North Sydney, Chatswood, North Ryde. So we think that Geelong and some of the Victorian regional centres will benefit, not dissimilar to areas in Queensland and Western Australia. So we're looking at that opportunity and we're getting behind them. And then in terms of industrial, I talked on disruption for industrial. You know, in the future, if there is autonomous cars and driving, could those locations be a better outcome for some of the bigger industrial facilities? Time will tell. So watch this space.
Great. Thanks, Shane. And thanks for being part of this series, and wish you all the well for 2021.
Thank you. And likewise to you. Thanks, Rami.